everyone to this Hopes and Dreams meeting tonight, and then she wants to know what I'm going to say. Well, I'm not going to tell her. You know, she needs to be surprised too. But one of the things that we keep talking about with education right now is we keep talking about the last 30 years. How has education changed in the last 30 years? I've been in education for 27 of those 30. And I can tell you, education has changed. Now, the thing that excites me more than anything about BBE, and the reason that I've been here as long as I've been here, is because we're not afraid of it. We're not afraid of change at BBE. In fact, sometimes I think there's maybe a little too much change going on at one time, and we get a little bit wound up. But over the years that I've been here, we've had teachers from surrounding school districts leave their jobs to come and work for us. And it's not just because of the 4-day week either. It's because of the things that we're willing to try. And because we're not scared to fail. We're going to make things better for our kids at BBE, and the surrounding districts know that. And we have teachers from other districts that they don't come here because they want a job here, but they come here to see what we're doing. In fact, just last week we had teachers from 2 neighboring districts come to check us out and ask questions and shake their head about how do you get people to do those things. Sometimes I'm not sure either. She's a big part of that. She's a big part of that, and the team that we have, from school board to admin to our teachers, all the way down to, I mean, we start them at 6 weeks old. Go down there and check it out. They're here, you know. So a lot of great things going on here. You're going to learn a lot more about it. I appreciate everyone who's here. A lot of teachers here. Thank you for being here, people. And we're going to move everybody down to the
biz.
The biz.
Yes.
The home renovation zone.
Follow us.
All right, let's go.
So just to let some of you know, as a background of our Transcend, is we applied last summer to be a part of the Transcend Rural Community Group. I thought, I'm going to put it in, I thought we would be, you know, just getting like some coaching, just some little things like this. Well, I didn't realize how big Transcend is. It's a major accomplishment for us to get in with them. And so there were only 10 districts were selected. So 10 in the nation of rural school districts, we made 1 of 10. That's pretty impressive coming in from that. So what it does is it supports work for us, for community, for any of our stakeholders, for our colleagues, to really look at enlisting not only the school community, but you as our community, to shape the vision for what do we want this school to be like for the future of our learners. Like what do we need to do to prepare them? Because as we know, it's different out there in this complex world. I think where I grew up, the century that I was educated in, compared to what we're putting them out to. So we were selected, and the journey begins. What we really look at is if we think of the past, the present, and the future. If we're not making changes and listening to our community, and listening to our learners, and listening to what is happening in our buildings, it pretty much says the likely outcomes will be pretty flat. There's not going to be many outcomes. If we start dreaming of the possibilities of what these learners need to be intellectually curious, that they need to have meaningful, authentic experiences, and what we want for our desired aims and outcomes, that's what we want. We want that big change. But without you, as our community, as our stakeholder, as my colleagues, we can't do it. We can't do it with the 5 of us that are sitting on this Transcend team. So we look at the education system. It's normally, right, everybody comes in, you get the same thing, everybody comes out kind of doing the same thing. And what we want to try to do is, how do we get these kids to be those creative, those problem seekers, those problem solvers of what our complex world needs right now? So, yeah, we come out, we're good, but we want our kids to be the best coming out of here.
And it shows too when you go back to that one,
yeah.
When you go in, we're all like on this like
A
do
bigger
the
belt.
same thing, see what happens on the bottom there, we suck out all the creativity, we suck out all of those extra little things that kids lose.
Yeah. So we're in phase 1 right now. So we have interviewed stakeholders. We wish we could have, you are going to all get interviewed, but we had small pockets of like business owners, of parents, of grandpas and grandmas, of students, of colleagues. And that was our first phase, September to January. So they have been coaching us, we have been gathering data about the current model. And what we're moving into is trying to get more people involved in our plan as we move forward. So we want you to be thinking about, would you be interested to come along on our journey and be more of an active member with us? So tonight, we're going to be, we have our bingo boards, index.
When you came in, you should have had a bingo board. Make sure you put your name on top of that. As you go through the night, check off the things that you've done. And then at the end, we'll turn those in for prizes.
And if you're interested in volunteering to be a part of our team, please put your name down. We're hoping to see names on that bottom there to join our, who would want to work with this fabulous group of people? Come on now. So put it there. We are going to be changing up the schedule a little bit. So we're going to all be, because it's a nice smaller group, so we're going to all be starting in Mrs. Knutsen's room, and then we'll just break into 2 rooms. You're going to get all the sessions, but the agenda is going to be changed. Just follow with us. We're laid back. We're not going to be managing. We're just.
And we'll try really hard to keep Field on time.
Yep.
But we're already
Hey. All right. Okay.
Okay, so our objectives for tonight mainly is to share with you what we have been doing, and what's cool about tonight in your sessions is you're actually going to dive into the hands-on activities that we have been doing through the last few months, and get a chance to see and bring on your own ideas of what you think we have here and where we need to go. Let's see my old guys here, teach input, got that, and the last one, we want you to go back out and say, that was pretty cool actually. You know, I'm glad I did go, and you should take a look at what they're doing.
Spread the word. Spread the word.
All right, community agreements, whenever we do professional development or have any types of meetings, Janelle usually starts us off with, you know, what do you need from this group? So what do you need from us tonight? So we're gonna overcome obstacles together. We're gonna include different points of view. It's not just my view, we wanna include everybody's view. We wanna share the power with everybody, not just have one person taking over the control. And be vulnerable, you know, take a chance, take a risk, say something. And we value mistakes. We're all here, we fail to learn. So those are our community agreements.
As you go through the night, you're going to be thinking of questions, things that we're not going to have time to answer, or that we'll get to later. So in the cafeteria, right where we came in, there's two big pieces of paper that have, it's called parking lot. It's not out in the parking lot. It just means the parking lot. We're just going to put it there for now so that we can know what you guys are thinking, and that we can address that in the future, get back to you. So if there was an aha moment, or this really clicked, or hey, I still have questions about this, please leave it on those parking lot sheets when you're walking out the door, so that we can circle back to that and come back and answer questions for you that did get answered tonight.
And if you want us to know who you are, please put
Yeah,
your name,
put
your
your name.
email, however you want us to get a hold of you, that'd be great.
All right, so it's time. We're going to start dreaming together. I always say, dream it, own it, rock it. So those are our 3 words we live here at BBE.
But seriously, we need a lot of input
We
from
do.
you
We don't want to
tonight.
do the talking. We
Yeah,
want
lots
your
of
input. All right. So let's start dreaming together. Future trend session, just so you have a little background.
Yep, Sheila and I will have the future trends. We'll be in the room straight across here. We're just going to talk about what big changes in the world are most important for us to address at school.
Dingman and Gosson and myself, we will have graduate aims, and we are wanting to know, what do you think skills, mindsets are most important for our graduates to go away with? What habits, mindset, skills should we start them in preschool and before, and keep working through as they leave BBE?
Adam and I will be presenting our story, our case for change, and getting some discussions going on what you guys think of where we should go with this.
So how this is going to work, we've changed it up a little bit. We're all going to go to our story with Knudsen and Gregory in Knudsen's room there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to separate into 2 groups. So we're all going to be together, and then we're going to go down to 2 groups. And my colleagues, if we can kind of mix up, so we have our community members and staff, so we're not all staff, so I know you can help me out with that, so just kind of getting in a group with also our community members. Questions for me before we start journeying? Lansing's really excited about this.
Janelle, can you tell me a little bit about, I'm researching
Yes.
on my phone, but the group right is the same question. What is Transcend? They're a nonprofit that you
Yeah.
applied for a grant for, and
Yes.
they have the template, if you will, to where the roadmap of where you want to get to?
It's really where we want to get to. So they have, and
So
I
who
can
is
put this up.
Transcend and what are they?
They're a nonprofit organization where they get big funding. So like, the Tesla, he's,
Musk.
there we go. He gives, that want to change education.
And it's-
They're seeing out
Change agents.
agents.
So it's really what we want. Like, they're not saying you have to do
Yeah.
it this way. They're saying, what do you guys see in your community? Where's that need? Where's that discrepancy? We are seeing across the nation that the old model of education isn't working. So what fits for your community, for your students, and how does that look? So each of these 10 schools, they're piloting different things based on what their needs in their community are. But yet the overarching goal, the theme is, this looks different than how we used to do
Right, they've acquired an
education.
interest in us because of the things that we're doing.
Yes.
And they're very into equitable for everyone. Like, it is not watered down for, this student, that they want meaningful, authentic, intellectual curiosity for all. It doesn't just happen after school or before school. It's embedded in your school day. Yeah, and if you look, another thing you can look up is the Transcend Education Leaps for Education. They're leaps. They have 10 leaps that they really are strongly build the foundation on. Yeah, great question.
Here, we're gonna share with you one of our projects that we've been working on for the last 5 months, and, you get back there, they thought that was a pretty unique way to set up the desks there with kids to have a discussion there. And they've been teaching us how to put together a real story, because that storyteller they're not telling you how to think, but giving you questions to think upon. And when I looked at the video again today that we created, I thought, that's exactly what we want you to do tonight. We're not telling you what we think should happen, but we have gathered the data, we have gathered interviews, everything that we needed to, and we want to push this out to you so now you can give us feedback on where we should go with this. What are our strengths? What are our challenges and opportunities we should be using in our communities that we aren't yet? And then, yes, what we're going to do with that.
And the students really, we kept hearing this, like we were at Transcend Board. The students have spoken. They're very honest. Very honest. And so we say, they've spoken, now what do we do?
Yep. So our task was to put together a video to show why we need to change, and what we looked at were what strengths do we have, what challenges, opportunities do we still need to work on, and then the big one is what do we need to do for our kids to help them thrive in the future. So these are the things that Adam here will take notes on afterwards when we have a discussion, but think of these things as you're watching the video, and think about anything we're missing, what else we need to consider.
Growing up in the Belgrade-Britnell-Rosa community, I saw no value in staying. I could not wait to graduate and leave. I was unable to see how I could stay here and be fulfilled. After graduating from high school, I went off to college and got my education degree. After working in other districts, I kept asking myself, how could I come back to my home community and make an impact? 25 years later, many of our learners still do not see value in staying here. As a community, How can we come together to engage the students to see the value of themselves in connection to the community?
BBE is resilient and we take care of each other. Our communities are built upon tradition and have deep family roots. We are known by our surrounding school districts for our progressiveness, such as our school within a school, our flexible schedules and seating, jagways, and personalized learning. We could not do this without the support of our businesses, families, leaders, and the courage of our staff. Even with these initiatives, students are still telling us that we need more opportunities and ways to feel valued.
Through student surveys and interviews, our students are telling us they cannot be themselves. School is not relevant, and they do not feel a sense of belonging.
Even in the elementary school, like, we're taught our certain ways and how our community wants us to be, and a lot of us never, like, get out of that bubble. Like, we don't get out and, like, learn who we are and, like, accept ourselves.
I find it troubling why I can't sometimes get my opinion out there, why I can't ask or respond to certain questions.
In a fall 2021 student survey, 70% of our 4th through 12th grade students found school irrelevant, and 52% stated that they were unable to understand their emotions. Why is this happening? The traditional educational structure was designed for the industrial system, which is based upon data, compliance, and everyone conforming to this norm. Our young people are telling us that they need many ways to belong, and they need learning experiences that prepare them to solve real-world problems.
What does this look like? How can we create these types of experiences? Imagine a team of students working to understand how farming has changed in the last 20 years with the advent of artificial intelligence, new computer models, and automated harvesting. These students develop an appreciation of the challenges faced by our local farmers and engage with an agricultural innovation think tank at the University of Minnesota. They present their research back to our County Farm Bureau. Envision more experiences like these where we are going to see each student as an individual and foster relationships so they feel connected. We want our students to be sharp, critical thinkers who are well prepared to wrestle any challenges that come their way. We also want our students to know who they are and how to collaborate well with a wide range of people as they solve authentic problems. We are going to co-create experiences that are meaningful so that our students feel engaged in learning things that really matter. We want to help our learners share their learning with a wide variety of stakeholders and reflect on how they might operate differently on the next challenge.
Together, we have designed our portrait of our graduate that is the foundation of the experiences we want our learners to have. We need you to continue this work with us so that our children feel and know they matter. I want my 4th grader and every BBE student now and in the future to see the value of staying and making an impact in the BBE community. Together we can build a community where there are many ways for our young people to fit in and belong. They know that their unique contribution is valued in our community, and they bring their diverse talents as they shape and lead our community for the next generation. We are ready to celebrate the changes while embracing the challenges of our hopes and dreams.
And thank you to Cody. Where's Cody? Thank you,
Hiding
Cody.
behind
He
the
was,
camera.
for helping us with our project.
So this is where we hit our first time tonight where we ask you to share your thoughts, have discussions, help us out. We'll kind of guide you with some of the things we've been asked ourselves. But first of all, like, what are your thoughts after you see our case for change or our thoughts on why we're doing what we're doing?
Well, I think it's interesting that when you got the data and the information from the students themselves, Where we can probably think, well, we've been doing this for a long time, this is, you know, they're just supposed to go along with it and whatever, and they're not having it either. And if that's the case, they're probably not gonna stay around, and they're gonna go find something else and wanna do something else.
So, interesting to see the data, actually hearing from the students.
I think it was interesting that so often the word relevance came up, and is this relevant to my life? And I think that's a challenge as a teacher, is what I'm doing relevant to their lives, but especially challenge in middle school and high school. And I think it's the question we always ask: how can we make this relevant?
As teachers, we're here every day, so it's nice to see the things that we're doing in there when it's talking about the good things. Like when you get to see like the passion projects that were up there and the building of the furniture that the 4th and 5th graders did, like that stuff was so cool, and it's amazing that they were able to do that. So it's fun to see that out there.
I think even like being here, so many times we don't see the things that you guys are doing in the upper elementary or even at the high school, so it's kind of interesting, like from a primary teacher standpoint or a parent, to see some of the things that are happening.
Yeah, and it's not just here and up, it's you guys, you know, it's the primary, the connection's there that you start, and I know a lot of you have already been talking about how can we pull some of this and start that, strengthen. So the 3 things that we asked, that we were asked to do, to put into our video, is what we want to ask of you tonight too. What are our strengths? What are our assets here in our schools and in our communities? I think field.
There you go.
With the big hair though, too.
I put myself out there somewhere. For this video.
I think everyone has something to contribute, whether they think they do or not. Everybody has different strengths that they can share with their kids, and I think the more you expose kids to different things, the more they realize there's so much out there.
I was gonna say, just the way we can build relationships. Myself working here, I know that, but 2 kids in the high school, building the relationships with the staff and everybody there too, then they kind of can help them in the right direction too.
That's what I was kind of thinking about is, I'm not from here. I never intended to stay working here. I thought I'll be here a year or 2 and out the door am I going. And this is my 19th year, and I feel a part of this community. I feel like supported when I have parent interactions. I feel like it's a good, like we all want what's best for kids. Now we don't always agree on what's best for kids, but I feel like that's at the heart of conversations is, and I feel support when I call parents and talk to people in the community. I don't know, it's just, it seems like I feel supported in trying to help their kids.
And I would say our size is a strength too, because we are a small school. You know, more people know people, so again, if my kids are doing something in school they're not supposed to, I'm usually gonna hear about it. Or outside school, or walking down the street, or anywhere else, so. I think that that's an asset that we have, that, you know, it's, you know, they say it takes a village, and luckily our village is really good at keeping our eyes on everyone.
I mean, same thing, I'm trying to buy a house and one comes up for sale and I think I get like 15 tags. My phone blows up.
Trying to keep you in the village.
It's like along with that relationship piece, we have kids in elementary school, and like hearing how much like kids interact with different ages, like we did not do that as kids, and I think that's just neat having a mix so much, or helping move desks, or like reading to each other, like all that mixing is really neat, I think.
very team driven. I've never seen so much input from staff. Having worked in other districts where staff actually has a lot to say and it's listened to. And then also I just see people willing to look outside the box and step outside the box and go, does this still apply today? Even though we did this 20 years ago and this is how I did it, does this still apply today? I see that, those questions being asked a lot.
Going after that, like the culture of like, we're gonna try it. If it doesn't work, we'll find that out by trying it and not being afraid to fail. Kind of thinking outside the box and seeing like what's best for kids and trying to do things differently, you know.
It's kind of along the lines of what I was thinking. We've developed a kind of a culture, or cultivated environment for change, and leaders have been thinking, or people in the community have been thinking about this for a long time. So we're kind of set up for understanding, first of all, that sometimes you don't know what you don't know. At least now I think we've kind of identified some things that we could help. We know where we want to go maybe, or partly. It's just, you know, how we get there. I think that's the biggest step to starting, so.
And I think the community is so strong because we're starting to bring back the families again. Like, I've been here 20-some years, almost 30 years, and we're seeing the families stick around or come back after going off to school, and that's huge.
I would piggyback on that, the strengths of the community. I mean, our businesses are, we were building our furniture, our outdoor furniture with our 4th and 5th graders. I mean, we had people like, okay, what do you need? What can we donate? Bring them out to the sawmill. I mean, that's those meaningful and authentic pieces that we bring, that they're not just inside these walls, that our community and our businesses, they're part of our team. It's a huge asset and strength.
I don't know if you all realize, but because we have somebody on the food shelf that goes to every business place to get a donation, there's 35 businesses in Brewton. So there's a lot of jobs out there for kids to think about.
I'm not watching the time, so I don't know what my.
You gotta move.
You gotta move. Realistically, we have to look at our challenges and our opportunities that we still have here. So more business, I mean, we have 35 just in Brewton, let's get out there and search. And we've talked about that for our 4th and 5th graders at our end of the year project to get out there more. And so what are some challenges or more opportunities that we can keep looking at all levels?
I think the biggest challenge, or what's going to be really interesting to see, is how this progresses. Because like, my 5th grader is super engaged in school and was pissed that she was gone last week. And you know, and like my 8th grader is like, I'm going to get there, I'm going to do my work, and I'm going to come home, that's all I'm going to do. Because I don't like to talk to people or whatever. You know, my oldest is 1 foot out the door. So it's like, I think starting at young, I think we'll see that group more buy-in, I guess, is basically from the kids. Buy-in from the kids is what
Well, I think they'll be their own advocates. So I think, you know, our high school needs to kind of be prepared, because these kids are gonna stand up for themselves and stand up for their learning, which is really exciting.
And they're gonna ask tons of questions.
Yep.
Well, why? What's the point of this then?
Yeah. I think one of the challenges and an awesome opportunity is how to parent right now. Like, I don't know, it's not because I said so. At all anymore, you know, which is good. But so I think that's a good thing, but it's also a challenging thing because not everybody, I don't know, it's just different.
I think our size can be a challenge as well because we don't see all of the other things that might be happening in larger areas. Like we don't have the diversity that other schools might have. We don't have the as large of economic shifts that other schools might have.
And even access to opportunities. I know some of the things I've looked at are, you know, I find them in the cities. And so then it's hard to give those kids, it's like, well, are we gonna spend 4 hours in the bus to give them that 2-hour experience? It's, you know, there's that, weighing that.
There's a Spanish zoo trip that's gonna spend 6 hours on a bus next week to spend 2.5 hours at the zoo.
We're just looking for an indoor
What we have to do.
Yeah. Can't find one.
But we may not spend that hour every day in
Right.
traffic, you know, so.
We have like
It's
2
a
minutes,
trade-off.
2 minutes, Mimi.
2 minutes. We better move to the next one.
And then the next two groups are gonna be cut down to 15
Okay.
minutes.
Good discussion. I just do what everybody says. That's why Field always has me on. Okay, our vision and our future. What do our students need to thrive now? So we talked a little bit about our graduate aims, and you will be diving into that more in a little bit here, and the trends, but what do we want for our kids?
Self-advocacy.
Work ethic. I think sometimes they learn in school to do as little as possible. And they go,
Motivation.
yeah.
Persistence.
Self-directed learners.
How do you say it?
Problem solvers.
Challenge limits.
Curiosity.
Harder, you're right faster.
I'm trying here. Am I spelling it right?
Someone
I'm
said
struggling.
curiosity.
Curiosity, okay, great.
Discipline. Be able to work as a team.
It's all right, that it's all right to fail.
And it's okay to disagree.
Oh, agreeing to disagree.
Critical thinkers.
Empathy.
I don't even like problem solvers. I like to see those kids that are problem seekers. I love problem seekers.
Sometimes too, you dig in and do it even though it's not fun. Because everything about school and life is not fun.
Yeah, all the grading we had to do today, that's not the fun part of teaching.
So, fabulous list of things. I have to do one more thing, but I will do that at the end, and I'll have these hung in the hallway, and there will be some little stickers there. If you will pop just a sticker on which one you think is most important on each of these. So that's how we're gonna lead down and get to that, where we're gonna head. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Knudsen and Gregory, thank you. All right, and thank you for your participation, because we don't want to be the ones talking. We want to hear from you, because this is why we have you here today to help build our journey into the Plan 2. All right, so now we're going to break into two groups. But remember, my colleagues, we don't want you all in one group. So we want you to disperse amongst our community members, our parents, things like that. Follow my direction. Alexa shakes her head, yes, good job. All right, so we are going to go out into the biz, so I want you closer to me by the panel, so I know some of you don't like to get into that campfire area, but we want you close. And then some of you will go into the trends right next to me. I am Sheila Yeager, so I have been a teacher here for 31 years. I have taught first grade, second grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, and now I'm currently the 4th through 8th grade interventionist. That is a new position that our district added this year.
And I'm Megan Imdick. This is my 5th year here, and I am special education teacher.
So we're gonna go over some future trends. And as our question was out there, which big world changes should our children be prepared to address? When we got together with all the other school districts back in November, we also did this activity. And what we did is we went around a classroom and looked at what trends made meaning to us, which ones hit home to us. There are, placed around the room, you're gonna find different cards, and the cards are organized according to science, technology, and information, the economy and employment, demographics, identity and power, and the health of our planet and people. And what we would like you to do is kind of walk around, take a look at them, like we said, which ones hit home to you, which ones have meaning to you, and then just kind of write them down on a sticky. So there's 4 different groups. We have a group here, we have a group back there, we have a group here, and we have a group there. We're a little, like we said, a little bit pressed for time, so we would like you to do that. Megan?
So go around, look at them, and then, pick out 1 or 2 that you are the most important, that you think that BBE should be working on.
So think about your community, your
So we'll look
children.
around for a little bit, and then
And there should be, there's stickies and pens right on the tables where the trends are. So you can just get up and move around.
Each table pick one, or?
You can go around and look at them all.
Those are all the
All right, let's kind of wrap this up here.
If you wanna quickly sit down for about
Does
how many
anybody
minutes
want to
you
share with one of their top ones that they thought was important?
I think the misinformation that is online and how do we take that down?
Yes.
And just how to navigate everything online.
We can use that as an example, Padua Pub, you know,
Yes.
Padua Pub is closing, Padua Pub is closing. This is the second time now that they had to come out and said, you know, that was for Padua, Ohio.
I think that was all a stunt because they had a hell of a packed house yesterday.
Well, Linda Heeser is a retired teacher. Linda Heeser is a retired teacher and she works there and she's like, Sheila, their freezers are stacked full, I just worked there, it's not them.
So you, like, and relevance to our students right now, is this relevant in their world?
Yes.
Absolutely it is. This is the technology for them, that's their means of communication, they're sifting through things daily to try to figure out, you know, what's legit, what's not, so, yeah.
Well, and to piggyback off that, mine was just the mental health concerns that we've heard in our student friends and then and the data that also goes along with social media and being online and isolated for the last how long?
Yep, and helping kids cope and what, you know, what should you be posting and, you know, I mean, that just, it's a big part of mental illness. The kids read that and they take it to heart and it's huge.
I guess mine was the employment side of it. Why are the kids leaving here thinking they're not fulfilling? That was kind of interesting where you said they don't feel fulfilled. Well, who's creating that lack of unfulfillment by not staying local? And they go through the circle of, you know, I need something better, but still end up back here later time in their life, but it wasn't so bad.
Exactly, you know, you're exactly right. And I sit down and have meetings with seniors and still now, and I was one of those seniors 20-some years ago, I can't wait to get out of here. I don't really have a reason, I just wanted to leave. But even now, they're saying the same things, and so when I push it a little bit, like, why? Like, yes, you can go have an experience, you can go to college, you can, you know, travel, whatever it may be, but your opportunities to come back, and one thing we learned this year really quick through, like, our manufacturing class is Central Minnesota truly is a hub for manufacturing jobs. And we recruit people from all over. And actually we just had family move up from Texas to join our district for a manufacturing job. So but kids don't know this and they don't realize this stuff is in their backyard. So that's part of our job too, that teaching piece. One more.
Field wants to know how much time
She has like 1 minute.
Any others that hit home?
Thanks, Mary.
That you're concerned or?
Was there any that you just read and you're like, this is us? Like, I see relevance in this. This is our community. I think when I went through it, it was definitely the mental health pieces. Working in education and trying to connect people with mental health when we're on the edge of 3 counties. Literally, I call Stearns County and they're like, what? Bruton's not in Stearns County. I'm like, yes, we are. But like that piece of it is that was the one I read that I felt like, absolutely, we have huge mental health needs in our area and our communities that are not being addressed right now partly because of our location.
So going forward, we're gonna use what, you know, are your top. We're gonna look at that information. We're gonna use it in our schools to do our driving questions to develop as we further go along in Transcend and move forward with our visions for our schools and our communities.
So when we talk about driving questions, we've used this term a little bit tonight. So part of the school within the school model is seeking relevance for our students. So part of that is coming up with overarching driving questions. So things that are relevant in our students' lives that connect with them. So our first driving question was like, how do we build a successful school model where kids feel welcomed and have a say in their education? Trish, am I missing anything?
How they can co-create with the teachers.
Yeah, co-create with the teachers, yep. And so that's where the furniture came in, the placement of the furniture, calling businesses, asking about, building furniture, what, the constitution of the classroom, so all those things. So in the old model, we would take our list of standards, we still have academic standards we need to follow. There's huge rumors out there right now that we're not doing any schooling at BBE. We are. We still have academic standards we need to follow. The old way was we go down those standards and just teach them isolated. The new way is we take this driving question and we say, this is relevant to our students, what standards fit into that driving question, and that's the order we're gonna teach them in. So it's a big arching question, and at the end they have a project, a showcase.
We're giving our students voice and choice.
Yep.
So they have a choice in their learning how they wanna learn it.
So that's
Just
a big
filling out the
difference. I think
information.
a lot of what we're hearing out there too is, how are you teaching, or what are you still teaching? We still are teaching Minnesota state standards. It's just how we're deciding on what to teach looks different, and that it's more relevant to the kids.
It looks different for each kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I might not know it and Laura does. She doesn't need to sit through the same lesson I have to sit through, because she understands it and she gets it. But in order to do my project, I need to know it, so then they're gonna teach it to me.
Instead of the teacher just standing doing all the talking, spilling out the information to the kids, they regurgitate it on a test and move on to something else. We're trying to change that model.
So how do you do it if the kid doesn't use their voice then?
Yeah.
Yeah, what if they don't wanna take
Like,
the
what if-
initiative? What if they need more direction?
That's what we, and that's it. So that's a great question, because in the old model, those kids just got pushed through. So this model, it is hard, and I'm gonna use Aiken as an example, because he's my kid, and Ann Hagen is not in here, but like, that was Aiken. Like, I don't know what I wanna do. And then I'd come home and we'd talk about it, and the point is they've never had this opportunity before in their life. Their whole life, we've been telling them what to do and how to do it, and this is what you need, these are the hoops you need to jump through. So we can't expect them all of a sudden to know what to do either. So that's where the choices come in. So if we have a kid really struggling, we'll start finding things they like, and then.
What are your interests? What are
Yep.
your passions? What's something you
What
like to do?
about this, or what about this? And then they start thinking and formulating questions from there. So it's a process, it's not just.
Helps drive
Yeah,
them
Yes.
through
they
it.
guide them, guide them through it, absolutely. It's not just, here you go, do whatever you want, have fun with it, let me know what you decide. That's not it.
And it's constant checking in, or checkpoints.
So, yeah. All right, let's see how field is doing out there.
Oh, profile of graduate, and some of you probably remember when we designed this. Anderson, well, do you remember the years of, coming together, we had our stakeholders, and we designed the portrait of graduate. I feel right now, and I kind of get crap when things are developed and we're not using them, they start to get like dust on them and what. So, and I feel that the profile of graduate is something that we now have designed. Now what? So we are needing your participation tonight is to act on a shared vision. Do you think we got it right? Do you think there's things that we missed? What are the most important skills and mindsets that we think learners should have for their futures? So tonight, you are going to act upon the profile. This is where we want you. You're going to engage in some discussion about what we think the future needs, what does our complex world need, and I'm going to have some discussion questions. And then if things really stick out for you, you're going to add post-it notes too. You'll see there's definitions of all the portrait of a graduation skills, mindsets that we have put into ours. So Gasson, why the portrait of a graduate?
Well, like we've talked about all night tonight, the word relevant keeps coming up, and we just want to make sure that what we're offering our learners at BBE is relevant to them, that it's something that's going to prepare them for what's next. We keep talking about the last 30 years, Education has changed so much in the last 30 years. And the jobs and the things that our kids have to be ready for after they get done with school has changed so much. And the idea that every learner needs the same thing and should be getting the same thing is ridiculous. Yet that's what's been happening for decades. The kids at BBE, I think, especially in our middle school, have gotten to the point where they understand what it is to advocate for themselves and tell us what's engaging and what's authentic and what they want to do when they're at school. And I think we found out that they are like in school.
I had a boy come to my.
And while a lot of us might be thinking, who the hell said you had to like school? It makes it a lot better for everyone when they come and they're engaged and they feel like they're getting something out of it.
I had a boy at Thomas agency, and he came to my room because he wasn't really advocating for himself. He was just kind of in math class, and he came to my room and he said, "Miss Field," he said, "you told me that if I was not getting it at my level and where I'm supposed to be at, that this was supposed to be different." And so we talked about how he also needs to be, though, advocating and to be saying these things. So we got that changed and got him where he was in that math area. So it was exciting that he's starting to be those agents. All right.
Yeah, so we have some questions for you. First of all, this is our portrait of a graduate. So if you're not familiar with what it even looks like, and it has been a development, through a lot of conversations and hard work. But it's not necessarily done. I mean, it looks like it's done, and it's like, oh, well, what are we gonna add to it or take away? We might. We really want to hear from you. We think it's pretty good, but I think, we want you we're gonna break off here in a little bit and go through some questions and really start kind of looking at what is in this portrait of a graduate, and do we like it? Is it missing anything? What do we like about it? What should we add into it? What kind of questions do you still have about it? And what should our grads, be able to know and be able to do?
So as you look at the portrait of a graduate, and if you're like, what's Field meaning by critical thinking? It's like, we have the definitions also up here. So at your tables, you'll have the portrait of a graduate, and in the frames, you will have questions to discuss that connect to this future graduate, the portrait of a future graduate. So, as Dingman said, did we get it right? Are there things that should be added, missing? So I want you to discuss, think about that, how the world has changed in 30 years. Do the skills still mean the same? Grant sent me a video on the artificial intelligence with the tractors, and I'm thinking, if we're still learning about the same skills in this century of that video, we're doing something wrong. So thinking about what skills, think about those 30 years, what skills will future workforce be required? Are these the skills we think? Did we get it right? How well do you think BBE is preparing these skills? And how will the portrait of a graduate help BBE improve our learners to be life ready? Do you think they're going to be helping to prepare? We want your feedback on those. So, if you, when you are discussing, you're going to keep looking at that portrait, you're going to keep discussing those questions, if you need definitions here, and if you're like, our group, we need to write this down, that critical thinking is important, because if you have a real strong statement, stick it on there. If you have a real strong statement about collaboration, if you don't, that's okay. The goal of this is to have the discussion all about skills, future ready skills. And then we're going to come back and hear from you, and we're going to be doing a last activity with them. But now this is all about future ready skills. So we have tables, 2 tables there, 2 tables over there, and in our collaborative spaces, 2 more spots. So get in groups and discuss those questions and how they relate to the portrait of a graduate.
And the questions are on the little frames that are up. So.
And if you are feel like you've got to just put something on here, take that Post-it note and put it on there. All right. Put it on there. How do you think the portrait of a graduate is something that we need to put more emphasis on? Is it more important? Just as important than content? What were your discussions around those skills? We want to hear from you.
It'd be hard to know if we should put more energy into it when I have no idea how much energy you put into it already.
Please make sure you volunteer.
Yeah, and we're working on giving more feedback and reporting out on that on our learners?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Thank you.
My question is when you ask the kids the questions, what they're missing, kids get answered from the media? Have you have like a whole collage of them, or do they just say they're missing?
So now, what we're starting to do is make progression scales for each of the habits. So like if I'm looking at Rick Gossett, okay, and maybe in the, let's say, the collaboration stage. So we can see, is Rick beginning to collaborate? You know, or does he really have the skills to do it? So more in that way of like being able to give them feedback and teach them, because so many times we hear, well, Rick won't collaborate. Well, what have we done to help Rick to collaborate? You know, those are those skills that I think to even teach more of those skills.
I think to go with your question is, I don't know if the kids actually said what they were missing, and if you ask them now, they might not know either. I know like the teachers here ask them that question too when they say, oh, that didn't work, or that was bad, or that was good. Either way, why was it bad? Why was it good? Like, you might just say it was bad and actually it was fine. But if you can explain why, then we can help and go and.
I think it's all that feedback.
I was just gonna say it's feedback.
Yes, huge on that. Yeah, and having them know what they need to do to get where they're going, that pathway to improve on it. Will be huge.
And to look at it more like we do with academics, and Field said it, so if they don't know how to do it before, you know, we're like, you should know how to do this, this is our expectations. We never take the time to teach them how to do it. So we teach our kids how to read, we teach our kids how to do math. We don't teach our kids how to collaborate in a group together. You know, what does it mean to be a good group member? Like now, you know, we're assigning roles, giving them different tasks, and then having them report back on their group members, what went well, what didn't go well. Using that language with our students is a big piece of what we're trying to do.
I was telling the other group that I work with a lot of learner-centered schools around the nation, and I kept asking them, please give me your progression scale for your standards. Give me your progression scales. I'd like to see so that we can compare. What I got from them, this right here. They lead with the skills, not that the standards are not important, but they lead with this, and the content and standards come with it. And we lead the other way, and sometimes don't put emphasis on this.
Kind of hope these come in there.
Yeah.
It's like we focus on the standards and then hopefully they'll learn how to collaborate.
Hopefully they'll learn
Hopefully
this.
they'll be creative. You know, it's kind of like flip-flopping that. We know they need to be creative. We know they need to be a good person. And so let's start with that, and then we'll build the content.
And we were building it, like Glenn was looking like, what does it mean? Like in kindergarten, first grade, how does it look different in, you know, 4th, 5th grade? How does that, so it's that whole progression piece of that. Yeah. So I know, we get you out here, 2 minutes. Woo! Look at us, 2 minutes to spare. This is amazing.
Did you want them to do the stickers, or are you gonna tell them?
So before you go, those that were just in my group, I'd like you to take 3 stickers and put them on the ones that you feel are most important in the portrait of a graduate. And if we're missing any, please put them on the plain piece of paper over there. But in ending, first of all, this means so much to me that you took the time out of your busy schedules to come and want to be a part of this journey. We are putting ourselves pretty vulnerable out here. And without you as our stakeholders, as our board, as our colleagues, as parents, we can't do this work. So thank you from the Transcend, our Transcend team, and our colleagues here at BBE. So in ending, we don't want you to forget, though, that we want you to be a piece of our journey. If you could commit to some time, we don't know what this is all going to look like, how much time, but if you could commit and want to be a piece of this team, please put that on your bingo board, or just email. You can email me at jfield and let me know if you are interested in this, or if you want to hear more about when we find out more what our next journey is going to be. Okay? On the thank you card. Also, does Hagen have our thank you card? Oh, Miss Olson has her thank you cards. There is a QR code or a bit.ly link. Please, you'll be asked what you are when it says to fill out the survey. If you are a parent or whatever piece you are, it is the adult survey. This will be going out to our entire communities. As much as we want student voices, We want also your voices.
So this is the
You can
survey
collect
your
the data.
student, if you had a 4th through a 12th grade student, this is the survey your student took already, or
A different one.
yeah,
But
same type of
same type
survey.
of thing.
But
Okay.
so this is your survey to take now, so please, please,
Yeah.
please take the survey, the more voices we hear, the better we can play.
Yeah. So we're
If you
just.
didn't know your camera, if you open your camera and put it over that QR code, it'll open our website
Yeah,
for you.
right there. So we're driving the process forward. We hope that you would meet with us 1 or 2 times a month. We just want to be in a group that are change makers and doing what we're hearing from you and our learners. So thank you for being part of our community vision here at BBE.
Is there anybody that did not get
Reel me in here, Jim.
their bingo card in? If not, we have some others there. Otherwise, Mr. Bassett, wanna grab one out of there?
Grab one out. Who has our prizes? Okay, oh, good job, Terrence.
Paul Gregory, we'll get that one too.
Okay, Paul Gregory, all right.
Kurt Lindsay.
All right, good. Kurt, Lindsay. Oh, yeah. Let's like give it to me.
Beth Coleman?
All right.
Do you wanna keep the sheet?
Oh,
Yeah, we'll keep the sheet.
yep.
Okay.
Ryan.
Who's it?
Yep, Ryan. Bertram.
Oh, Ryan Bertram. All right, and our last one, more.
Trisha Bucks.